In this video, I'm going to show you how to place the front shock absorbers on this Chevy Colorado. They go from your frame down to the control arm. I always recommend replacing these in pairs. Let's get started. Let's remove the wheel. If your truck has these center caps, remove them with a pry bar. Maybe it has full hubcaps, use a pry bar for that too, or maybe it has nothing at all. Use a 19mm socket to remove all 6 lug nuts. Now you can remove the wheel. With the wheel off, we can see the shock absorber right here. This one is in very poor condition. So let's start with undoing the top mounting nut. Typically, this is what's going to cause the most issues because the threads get rusty, the nut gets stuck, and the entire shock absorber will want to spin with the nut as you try to loosen it up. So in my case, step 1 will be to wire brush the threads. This will hopefully allow the rust to come off before I start undoing the mounting nut. I'm also going to spray some rust penetrant on here. I'm going to use a 15mm wrench and try to break this mounting nut free. And just as I expected, the whole shock wants to spin with it. So let's clamp onto it. Typically you can stick an Allen at the top of the stud here and hold it, but mine is way too rusty for that. So what I'm going to do is, since I have this open area here because this upper sleeve rotted away, I'm going to just put some locking pliers directly on the shaft of the shock. That's going to hold it, and I will also apply some heat to the nut, otherwise it will most likely still not break free. Now, if you don't have an open area here, you could gently and carefully cut open to reach it. Otherwise, there really isn't any other place to hold on to prevent this from spinning. So as a quick tip, you can actually tighten up your locking pliers either with pliers or an Allen. I recommend against the use of a torch or an open flame, so I have an induction heater. If you have to use any sort of other method of heating this up, be very careful. Keep in mind you have rubber all around, ABS wire, maybe hoses behind this fender liner, so just make sure you don't damage anything. I'm actually going to pop this off just as a precautionary measure so I can get more space here. All right, let's try to break this free now. Perfect. Take the mounting nut off, then remove this washer. And then remove the rubber bushing. Now you can remove your pliers if you use any. And on the bottom we have an 18mm mounting nut with an 18mm headed bolt. Let's remove this so we can pull the shock off. Push the bolt through. Use a punch to drive it through the rest of the way. Use a pry bar to pry the shock absorber out of the lower control arm and pull it down carefully. There's the old shock. Before we install this new shock, it's important to start it or prime it, and that entails squeezing it down all the way by hand. That's going to mix up all the oils inside. Let it come up by itself. Do this about 3 to 5 times, and then you should be good to go to install it in the vehicle. This will prolong the life of the shock, and it'll make it so that when you go over bumps at the beginning, there will be no clunking, because if you install it directly without this, there may potentially be some clunking that you'll hear over bumps. At the top of this new shock, you're going to want to remove the mounting nut, and that comes installed on it. Then remove the top washer and bushing. And I personally prefer to remove these as well and add some grease underneath them. That way this shaft doesn't rot. But if you don't want to do that, that is completely optional. I will. Now put the washer back on once you've put some grease if you wanted to, and the bushing all the way down. Now we're going to take the shock absorber, put it up in position. You may have to compress it in order to get it all the way in position, otherwise it's not going to fit. So just push it up. And now quickly put it into the hole. Get the lower part of the shock seated. And let's put the bolt through. Put the mounting nut back on the other side. To correctly tighten this up, we're going to want to raise the control arm approximately to ride height. So I'm going to put a pole jack underneath. If you're on the ground, you can just use a floor jack and raise this up a couple inches. You don't need to go really high up, but basically what you want to do is not put this bushing in a bind, because if the control arm's all the way down like this, it'll twist when it goes up when the vehicle's on the ground, and that's going to prematurely tear that bushing. So let's raise up the control arm. With it raised up, let's snug it. Torque this to 52 foot-pounds. If the bolt starts spinning on you, hold it with a wrench. Now release pressure with whatever support you're using. Up at the top, let's put the rubber bushing on that went up here, just like that. We're going to put the washer on. And finally, the new mounting nut. This one is going to be a 14 millimeter, by the way. So grab your 14 millimeter wrench or socket and let's tighten it up. If the shock starts spinning, just hold on to the body of the shock with your hand. That should be plenty of force to stop it from spinning, and tighten up the mounting nut. All right, that's plenty tight right there. The torque on this is 18 foot-pounds. However, I cannot torque it just because of the location of this mounting nut. I won't fit a torque wrench in here, but what I'm looking for is for these bushings to squish a little bit. You want them about the size of the washer. If they completely crush out and expand, that's too much, too tight. And if they are not the size of the washer, if they're still nice and narrow like they were at the beginning, that's not tight enough, and the shock will move around in the frame here. So at this point, I'm certain that these are tight. This is a locking nut, so this is good to go. I'm just going to reinstall the ABS sensor, or clip it back on, I should say, where I had unhooked it for more clearance. There we go. Tuck this back so it doesn't get caught. Now it's time to put the wheel back on, but just so you know, I always recommend replacing these in pairs, so don't forget to do the same to the other side as well. Let's get the wheel back on. Reinstall all 6 lug nuts. We'll bottom them out in a cross pattern, and also in a cross pattern, we're going to torque them to 103 foot-pounds. A 103 foot-pounds in a cross pattern. Here we go. Double check them all. And whatever style hubcap or center cap your truck had, if it had it, put it back on. Job is done, take it for a road test.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.